Hello and welcome back to ERU, where we round up the biggest results and talking points from across European football. Happy Monday, everybody. Joining me and you today, I've got Henry Hill for you. Henry, how are you on this Monday?
I'm good. 12 days till Christmas. Cannot complain. I had my first experience of live boxing at the weekend. So I went to watch my friend Billy, who got to the final of the middleweight British amateurs. It was amazing, actually. If anyone,
Billy.
Watching some amateur boxing at high level live, that was nuts. Like the speed, I wouldn't last a second in there. Some of these guys, the speed at which they're just going for each other was pretty full on, I must say. But yeah, no, that was fun. It was nice to do something a bit different this weekend. But how about you?
It was good. I was also getting involved in another sport. I got very invested in the Formula One yesterday. Oh my God,
yes, of course. Yes.
Which was, I couldn't really believe, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on Formula One, but it felt like they just made up rules for the last lap of the race just for entertainment purposes, when Hamilton, deserved to have at least a bit more of an advantage after that safety car. I do feel it was really, really unfortunate what went down there. I'm sure that's not the last we've heard of it, even though the stewards have said they've cancelled their appeals or whatever. But that was nuts.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a Verstappen fan, and even I had to, because we all watched it as a house, and I said, I don't know if I feel right about this. Something's gone wrong. Do you know what I mean? Something has gone very wrong. But I think across the course of the season, he probably deserved it. That said, you can't take away what Hamilton did yesterday in Abu Dhabi. But yeah, I mean, talk about drama. That's about as big as it gets on sort of peak day of sport. So yeah, I mean, we didn't quite see the same level of drama though this weekend in Europe though. I would suggest.
No, we didn't, I suppose, but we are going to come on to some of those crazy results in due course. But first of all, we're going to kick off with our story of the week, and that's the fact that Ralf Rangnick has supposedly identified a €30 million Aaron Wan-Bissaka replacement. What's gone down with this one, Henry?
Yeah, well, interestingly, on Continental Club a few weeks ago, we suggested that maybe Bayern Munich should make a shock bid for Barcelona right back / right forward Sergino Dest. It looks like Ralf Rangnick has had the same idea, according to El Nacional. They're very interested in potentially making a €30 million offer for the American fullback. Bear in mind, he's only been at Barcelona for a fairly short period of time in his career. But clearly a club that needs to earn some serious cash if they're going to look to do any business in the market. We reported last week on Sunday Vibes, Barcelona currently have about a €10 million transfer kitty. That's after the half of it went on extending the deals of Pedri and Fati. So if they want to seriously bring in any players this winter, they might just have to accept selling one of their big names, maybe Frenkie de Jong, perhaps Sergino Dest. It makes a bit of sense, I suppose. City and Liverpool are also said to be monitoring the situation as well. Bayern Munich too. So let's see. 21 years old, a lot of potential still. I've been really intrigued to see if anything does materialise. As we all know, Aaron Wan-Bissaka has been struggling. Diogo Dalot's had a bit of a renaissance in his United career in the last few games. Last 3 matches he's played the full 90, so it really does look like Rangnick has got different ideas and ambitions for what he wants to see this squad do, and maybe Sergino Dest is the man for it. But I mean, Dukes, I've been pretty impressed with Dalot when he's played so far. I think he's always been someone that's just been underused and underwhelmed at United. He obviously played pretty well during his loan spell at AC Milan. Do you think that Dest is an improvement on him?
I agree with you. I think Dalot's been pretty excellent in the last few games. Was pretty solid throughout his time at United. I think he's more comfortable in forward areas than Wan-Bissaka as well. He's got a much better left foot as well, which I think opens up the play a little bit more on that right-hand side. But yeah, Dest, going back to him, he's clearly very promising. He's had some issues at Barcelona. He's been played out of position, as you said. He's played 6 games at right wing and 4 at left back this season. With Jordi Alba having some fitness issues at the start of the season. But he's clearly very talented. He played 35 games for Ajax in 2019-20, averaged 3 tackles and interceptions, 1.5 dribbles, 1.1 key passes, got 4 assists in 19 Eredivisie games. So Barcelona shouldn't forget the reason that they bought him. And yes, he hasn't necessarily been as consistent as he could have been at Barcelona, but he is, as you say, a 21-year-old joining an absolute super club, having 1 year of senior experience under his belt prior to that move. His raw numbers this season are pretty impressive. 2 tackles and interceptions, which is compared to 3.1 for Dalot, 1.6 key passes, which is over 3 times the amount that Dalot has produced, and 2.8 dribbles, which is up from 0.7 for Dalot as well. Albeit, you can't take these numbers too seriously because he has played a lot of minutes on the right wing, where his finishing was really what let him down up there. But he ranks in the top 5% in Europe for pass completion, progressive carries, dribbles completed, touches in the opposition box, and progressive passes received. So if I was Barcelona, I definitely wouldn't be looking to get rid of Sergino Dest unless it is a situation where, to get this striker in that they really need, to get this sort of centre-back that they really need in the next 12 months as well, they have to make some unwanted sacrifices. And I'd much rather get rid of Sergino Dest than someone like Frankie de Jong, that is for sure. For United's perspective, Dalot's only 22, Wan-Bissaka's 24. And to be honest, if I was going to get rid of either of them, I'd probably look to get rid of Wan-Bissaka. I just don't know whether he's ever going to be at United level, to be totally honest. Still so uncomfortable beyond the opposition halfway line. I know a lot of United fans on Twitter say, look, he is getting a lot better, but for me, the progress is far too slow. I mean, Henry, I don't know whether you agree with that. I mean, do you feel like United should prioritise other areas of their squad and keep these two right-backs on their books, or do you think Dest would be a good addition?
I don't think a January fix at right-back is 100% necessary. I think, without raking over old grounds, there are other areas of the squad they could look to improve. But Wan-Bissaka, a lot of people say, well, he could look good in a back three if they went to sort of 3-5-2 formation. That maybe could be where he comes on strong. And bear in mind, he's played an awful lot of football because he's essentially been the first choice right back at United for a very long time. So I do think maybe a bit of competition, maybe a bit of a change might be good for him. So I don't know if it's worth completely getting rid of Wan-Bissaka. Certainly if you're going to bring in someone like Dest, I'd rather just see Dalot move on, earn a bit of a premium on when why he can, and have sort of Wan-Bissaka as the defence mind of full back with Dest, who's obviously a lot more attacking forward. It should be stated, by the way, Barcelona are like the possession dominant heavy side in Spanish football by a considerable distance relative to United anyway, so they're always going to get more of the ball. That's why a lot of his numbers are a bit inflated. But yeah, I don't think it's worth getting rid of Wan-Bissaka, but I certainly think having an alternative is not a bad idea whatsoever.
Yeah, guys, who do you agree with? Do you think, like Henry, they should give Wan-Bissaka a bit more time? Are you with me that they should look to move him on if they can, if there's a appropriate bid? And do you think Dest is the answer to United's right-back problems? And if not, who would you target in January? Answer all those questions in the comments down below, and let's move on to our results of the week.
For our results of the week, we are going to Spain. This comes from @LManyening, and they've recommended Real Madrid against Atletico Madrid. What went down in the Madrid derby, Doogie?
Yeah, well, before we get onto that, we need to shout out some other results. PSG beat Monaco 2-0 last night. Eintracht Frankfurt came back from 2-0 down to beat Leverkusen 5-2 in an absolute thriller yesterday afternoon. Real Betis thrashed Real Sociedad 4-0. I don't think many people saw that coming. And Inter Milan went top of Serie A with that 4-0 win over Cagliari. But the most important result of the weekend, in terms of the title race, we think at least, was without doubt Real's 2-0 win over Atletico Madrid, which was sealed by goals from Karim Benzema and Marco Asensio, both assisted by Vinicius Junior. Now, this was Los Blancos' 10th win in a row and moved Ancelotti's side 13 points clear of Atleti, 18 clear of Barcelona, who drew 2-2 with Osasuna, and 8 clear of second place Sevilla. Although it has to be said, all those three sides do have a game in hand. But it feels like, unless something really catastrophic happens now to Real Madrid's season, they are a shoe-in for the La Liga title. It wasn't a vintage game by any stretch of the imagination. There was just 16 shots and 9 on target between them, Atleti having 6 to Real's 3. And they only created a combined 1.36 expected goals, which isn't totally surprising given those numbers I just mentioned. Atleti creating 0.77 to Real's 0.59. But Real clearly took advantage of the crucial moments. Modric intercepted a really poor Koke pass in the 16th minute, which eventually led to Vinicius Junior being sort of freed down the right-hand side. He cut it back for Benzema for a wonderful finish into the bottom right-hand corner. That was his 18th goal of the season on his 21st appearance, just getting better and better, old Karim. And then in the second half, Luka Jovic, who's actually had a real nice renaissance in the last couple of games, easily turned Kondogbia, played Vinicius through down the left, who cut it back to Asensio, who waited nicely on the right-hand side of the box, and he finished low past Oblak, who looked absolutely fuming. The 25-year-old Marco Asensio, that is, has now scored in back-to-back games following that excellent goal he took against Inter Milan in midweek, and now has 5 goals in 15 league games so far this season, so it's nice to see him getting back to somewhere near his best. But this was a disastrous result for Atleti, Henry.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they really had to try and win this. If they're serious about keeping pace, certainly with Real Madrid this season. For me, it feels like all their eggs are in the Champions League basket. That's obviously the one big tournament missing from Diego Simeone's crown, but at the moment...
Well, they've been pretty poor in that as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, but at the moment they look very far from coming close to that too. But anyway, like you said, back-to-back defeats, lost to Mallorca 2-1, and now, like you said, not a vintage game, but certainly moved aside by Real Madrid. I mean... Their goals per game have gone from 1.8 to 1.7, but their goals against have leapt from 0.7 against to 1.1. So that shows you since last term that they're just conceding a lot more without really scoring any more either. And that's just a bit of a recipe for disaster. I mean, 4 sides in Spain have conceded fewer goals than them and 21 in Europe's top 5 leagues. So that's not really the Simeone sides of old that we're watching at the moment. Listen, they have had some injury issues. Let's be real. Trippier, he's only started 9 league games. Jimenez 10, but for maybe it's time to sort of move away from that back 5, which they've used so often this season. Maybe it's time to progress slightly into a more attacking style. It's easier said than done, certainly when it comes to a Simeone team too, isn't it? But I mean, key performers, we're looking here. Not much coming out of the Atleti squads. Griezmann, who's scoring a few more goals recently. Carrasco, who is probably the most consistently impressive player at Atletico. They were both subbed at half time. He'd made 4 changes by the 60th minute, so desperately looking for some answers there. Courtois was very good. He made 6 saves, including 1 dead in the face. That was a stunning save. A lot of good goalkeeping across Europe actually this weekend, I have to say. Yeah. Crania for Cagliari, although he conceded 4, he made some really excellent saves. Musa as well. I mean, there was lots of brilliant work.
De Gea was brilliant in the Prem as well.
There we go. But yeah, Vinicius, my tormentor, back again. 4 tackles, 1 dribble, 2 key passes, 2 shots, 2 assists. You've all been getting at me on Twitter about this. Keep it coming. I don't care.
Poor Henry.
He was still
let it go.
He still
man.
used to be rubbish. Yeah. No, listen, he's amazing. He's awesome. I love the way he G's up the crowd every time he does anything good as well. And then Modric, my goodness, 36 years old, whatever it is, 5 tackles and interceptions, 4 dribbles, 90% pass accuracy, an aerial duel win. It's no wonder they're thinking about extending his contract once more. Quick shout out to Greuther Fürth for winning their first game in the Bundesliga this season. To Desco for getting Leipzig off the mark with a 4-1 battering of Mönchengladbach, who've conceded 10 in their last 2 games. What on earth is going on with that side at the moment? And the Real Betis fans for throwing toys onto the pitch to be collected for the children's charity. I thought that was an awesome touch this weekend as well. But I mean, Doogie, do you share my reservations about Atletico's season? It just looks like it's not going anywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely petering out. And after the abuse I took last week, some of it quite personal on Twitter, I was absolutely delighted with this result. Predicted 3-0 on our big match predictions on Continental Club, and we didn't quite get to that point. But yeah, for Atleti, same old story. I don't think they've got particularly high quality centre-backs, at least when Jimenez is out injured. Trippier's been a big absence felt as well, but I think Simeone has a lot to answer for. The most expensively paid coach in world football, and with that squad they should be a lot closer to Real Madrid, if not ahead of them. I think they've got a deeper squad in many areas than Real Madrid, and Ancelotti's far and away outperforming Simeone right now, so a lot of questions to be answered. But guys, do you think Atletico Madrid need to think about changing their style? Do you think Simeone might walk away at the end of this season? Has he achieved everything he could with this Atletico Madrid side? Because let's have it right, he's been an absolute legend there. Far exceeded any expectations when he came in December 2011 was it? December 2010, sorry. So yeah, he's done a phenomenal job there, but do they need to change manager or philosophy? Let us know in the comments down below, and let's move on to our star of the week. So our star of the week this week is Dusan Vlahovic once again. We actually haven't mentioned him for a couple of weeks now, but at MadAndy12 wanted us to bring to your attention once again after a phenomenal performance this weekend. Henry, what's going on with this one?
Yeah, great suggestion, Mad Andy, like that. Could have been Nkunku, goal and assist, Leipzig's 4-1 victory over Gladbach. Andre Silva, one of the worst misses you'll see. But we've talked about the Frenchman for quite a lot recently, so going to Fiorentina again. Vlahovic, what a beast of a man. Scored his 16th and 17th goals of the season as they comfortably beat Salernitana, who I have to say are very bad. They are very bad. I mean, they're not a good team. I feel sorry for them.
Very good.
There's always one Italian side that gets promoted that's just very far out of their depth.
They're trying their best.
Yeah.
Franck Ribéry still, it's so bizarre that Franck Ribéry's there.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's beginning to regret his decision too. But listen, only Lewandowski has scored more than Vlahovic, his 15 league goals this season. It's just crazy how well he's playing at the moment. 1 dribble, 7 shots, 2 goals. I mean, yeah, first goal, sort of semi-chipped finish over the keeper. Really should be doing better than that. The save, he sort of, Belek, he sort of poured at it, but hasn't made much of a difference. But I mean, this guy, I was raving about him on Sunday Vibes recently. He's, in my opinion, he's the real deal. But yeah, Dukes, he's a monster, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's worth noting that at this time last year, he wasn't really going anywhere fast with his career. He scored 1 goal in 10 Serie A games at the start of 2021 and 7 in his first 50 in the competition. But listen to this. Since then, he's scored 35 goals in his last 43 games in Serie A, that is, and now including 7 in his last 5 games. He's averaging a goal and an assist every 89 minutes this season. And this is a Fiorentina side who are clearly on the up under Vincenzo Italiano, but that goal-scoring record at that level of side is pretty much unheard of, at least in recent history as well. I know Haaland's put up, magnificent numbers at Borussia Dortmund, but they're probably arguably a much better side than Fiorentina are right now. And he's seemingly getting a lot better too. His shots have gone from 2.1 to 3.5 per 90. His shots from inside the box have gone from 1.7 to 2.1. His key passes have improved. His dribbles have improved. Interestingly, his expected goals and assists per 90 ratio is still at 0.64, up from 0.63 last year, so he showed that consistency, although that hasn't leapt up astronomically. But yeah, just an ultra cool finisher, seemingly got all range of finishes in his locker as well. Not that involved in general play, but not really needed to. He's a penalty box operator, really, and he's going to be a hell of a signing for someone next summer. I mean, Henry, okay, I think rather than asking where do you think he'll go, where would you like him to go most?
City. I want him to go to City.
City, really?
I think so.
Love
yeah,
it.
I can't see them wanting to get into bed with Viola necessarily in terms of the Haaland deal, even though that would be obviously equally amazing. So whoever doesn't get Haaland should go for Vlahovic. I'm not being funny. He's that good. And I think City, yeah, I'd love to see him go to City and score some serious goals, but let's see.
Yeah. What I'm worried about is him going to Juventus. I think, Bernardeschi, Chiesa, they've all been handed to Juve pretty much on a plate. Please don't give them Vlahovic. We're enjoying Juve being very mediocre at the moment. Vlahovic would be a transformational signing in my book for their forward line over the next few years. But guys, where do you guys want to see Vlahovic go? Not where will he go, where do you want to see him go? And explain why in the comments down below. But that's all we've got time for ERU for this week, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, our discussion of numerous games. Actually, we try and pack as many games into this as possible, but put a particular light on Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid and Ralf Rangnick's new right back, who he has identified in Sergino Dest, supposedly. If they've enjoyed this, Henry, what should they go and watch now?
We've got a great explained out on the African Cup of Nations, why it's been changed, who's annoyed about it, and why you shouldn't be annoyed about it, more or less. So yeah, go check that out. Got some amazing footage from across Africa there. So yeah, go check that out if you haven't already.
Perfect. Thanks very much for watching, guys. We'll catch you later in the week. Goodbye.